welcome back for part 2 of Find the Hole. If you have not watched part 1, you need to go back and watch part 1 because I'm not going to re-explain how we start this problem. We're going to dive straight into it, and I explain the beginning of the problem in the end of part 1. Let's keep moving. So, we've got some decisions to make here. We need to find out what is going to go into each one of these pieces here. We've got to find the part, we've got to find the whole, and we've got to find the percent. Well, the percent's easy. Go back and show your original problem here. The percent, boom, 30% off. 30%, that's going to be easy. The whole, we don't know anything about the whole. We do know a part, but that part is going to be how much was saved. But it's still the closest thing to a part we have. So we're going to save 15% or $15 from the whole price. And we're going to check our answers. That part checks good. So let's keep moving on to the next stage. Now they chose to use a bar diagram for this one, and that is a good way to work it. Not one of my favorite methods because it is more work intensive, but let's see how it works. They've got 100%. They had 30% is what they ended up saving. So they took the 30%, broke the bar diagram into 10% sections. That makes sense. And you can see you've got the 30% of that bar diagram shaded. Now, how much was 30%? How much money did they save? They saved $15, so 30% was $15. Well, if all three of those squares combined are $15, how much is just one square going to be? You divide the 15 by 3, and we're going to find out that each one of those squares represents, yep, $5. So from here we're going to hit our check. That part checked. Now we're going to put 5s into all of the little squares or rectangles here. And with that we can find out, well, how much was the total cost of the sweater. You would take and add up all those 5s, or you could multiply 5 times 10. The total cost would have been $50. Hit your check again, and there you have the total cost of the original price of the sweater. Interesting. She saved $15. The total cost was going to be $50. How much did the sweater cost her? How much did she spend? $35. Let's keep moving. Now you can also use the double number line approach, and as I've said, this is really my least favorite method to do these. And you can see on the double number line, they've set it up like they have all the others. You've got the amount right here, you've got the percent on the bottom, and you have 0 to 100%. And then we say, well, what do we know? We know that 30% was going to equal to 15. And we calculated earlier the other way that each 10% is going to be 5. So you have to go above each one of the 10% sections and start adding. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, all the way up to $50 total. And that is how you would make that. And you can see right there your final answer, once again, is going to be the same $50 that we checked looking at it the other way. Two different ways to skin the same tilly cat. Now the textbook suggests that you choose another strategy, such as a ratio table or an equation relating the two equivalent ratios, and solve this problem. I'm not going to make you do that, but if it was me doing it, I'd set up the two equivalent ratios, because for me that's almost always going to be the best option. Now it's going to be your turn to solve another problem. Go ahead and pause this recording and find out how much hay the horse is going to, let's see, if a horse consumes 18 grams, how much does a horse weigh based off of the amount of hay that it consumes each day? So, did you solve the problem? Let's take a look at it. The horse consumes approximately 2% of its body weight each day. If a horse consumes 18 pounds of hay each day, how much does that horse weigh? Now you know me, I'm going to jump to algebra in a heartbeat, so let's talk about what I know. I know I'm going to have equivalent ratios here. I have a percent, 2% compared to 100, and I know that 2% is going to be equivalent to 18 pounds of hay. We want to find out how much 100 pounds of hay is going to be, and I decided to let H represent my hay this time. So to do this, all I have to do is take and simplify and multiply, or you could actually just multiply this, because these numbers work out pretty darn easy, and I think just multiplying without simplifying is going to be better on this one, because it's going to give me a 10 I can multiply by, and that's just so easy. So starting off with, I'm going to say 2 times what number is equal to 18, and that's for the top here. That is of course going to be 9, and since I use it on the top, I have to use it on the bottom. So now I'm going to say 100 times 9 is going to equal to what? Well, that is going to be 900. So that means that our horse is going to equal to 900 pounds. Go back to our original problem here, put in the 900 and check our answer, and ding ding, we did it right. Let's keep moving. Now it's time for you to work an apply problem, and we're going to start it off by watching a video and seeing what it has to say to us.
A store clerk put all of the bags of cinnamon popcorn and cheese popcorn in a display. The cinnamon popcorn is 15% of the total bags of popcorn in the store. The cheese popcorn is also 15% of the total. If the clerk puts 60 bags in the display, how many bags of popcorn does the store have in all? If they sell the bags of popcorn for $4.75 per bag, how much will they make?
Wow, that is a whole bunch of information they just threw at us in words. Fortunately, they're going to write it down for us as well, and that'll help us to pick through it a little bit better. So what do we know? We know that the clerk put in the cinnamon popcorn and the cheese popcorn together on the display on the very front there. We also know that 60 bags were put up on the front. What does that mean? The cinnamon popcorn and the cheese popcorn added up to be a total of 60 bags. How many bags does the store have in all? Well, what that doesn't show us there, but it does show us on the table over here, is that the cinnamon popcorn represented 15% of the total popcorn, and the cheese popcorn represented 15% of the total popcorn. So what percentage of the popcorn is represented by both the cheese and the cinnamon combined? That's going to end up being 30%, and that's where we're going to start working our problem. Now, of course, you guys are going to need to read the question several times. You're going to have to write down an approach of how you plan on solving the problem, and you're going to have to solve the problem and check your solution. And finally, after you do that, you need to write an argument justifying your solution. Go ahead and stop the recording now and work on that. So what did I write down? I wrote down that first I added the percents of the cheese and cinnamon popcorn, finding that 15% plus 15% equaled 30%. Next, I recognized that 30% of the popcorn was equivalent to 60 bags, and this allowed me to set up an equivalent ratios and use them to solve the problem. That supporting work will look like this. So I've got my equivalent ratio going here. I know I have 30% to 100, and I know that 30% of the bags is equal to 60 bags. And we want to find out how many bags B of popcorn do we have total. Well, first thing I'm going to do is not simplify. Quite often simplifying is where we're going to start, but you know, I can look at this and say, hey, 30 to what times what is 60? Super easy stuff here. So I'm going to come off to the side. 30 times what number is equal to 60? That is of course going to be 2. So then I'm going to take my 100, multiply it times that same 2 to find out the total bags of popcorn is going to be equal to 200. So my bags of popcorn is going to equal to 200. I'm going to come back to my original problem, scroll down. The store has 200 total bags of popcorn, and there's another question there, isn't it? I didn't highlight that. You had two questions. The first one was how much popcorn do they have at all? We just solved that part. and I totally missed the fact there is another question in there. If they sell all the popcorn for $4.75 per bag, how much will they make? So to do that, we're going to go back to our work page here. I got $4.75 times 200. Of course, you multiply your zeros, and that's just going to give me a couple rows of zeros that are offset from each other. And now 2 times 5 is 10, 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1 is 15, 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. Add those up, 0, 0, 0, 5, 9. Go bounce, 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 bounce. So your answer is going to be $950. And we're going to go back to our original problem again and type in 950. Check our answer, and we are correct. Of course, on yours, you will also need to write an argument to justify your answer. Now, you could take this problem even further by asking yourself, how much more will the store earn in sales for selling bags of kettle corn than caramel corn? And describe 2 different ways to solve this problem. Well, if you went back to the original chart, you will see that 60% was settle corn, where only 10% was caramel corn. That means that they're going to earn 6 times as much on the settle corn, because 10 times 6 is 60, so 6 times as much on the kettle corn as they do on the caramel corn. And how can you solve it? Well, you find out how much they solve for one of them. I would start with the caramel corn, multiply that by 6 to find out how much you're going to make on the kettle corn, and then subtract those 2 numbers and you'd find out how much more. I'm not going to make y'all do that. I think we spent enough time on this lesson for this. I do, however, want you to do one more extra apply problem. You guys go ahead and pause your recording, read what the problem says, highlight it out as you're reading it, look at your chart, solve the problem, and submit your answer to see if it's right. Did you do it? A sports equipment store is going out of business. The manager took inventory to determine the percent of each type of sports equipment in the store. The results are shown in the circle graph. If during the sale the store sold out of all the tennis equipment, so we're looking at all the tennis equipment, which is 75 items, that looks significant, and all the soccer equipment, that is 150 items, how many total items did they have in the store before the sale? If the sale price, and that looks like a question, so we need to take and highlight the question, make the question blue. If they priced all the equipment at $10.90 each, how much money will the store make for the sale of the items? And we're taking that one pink for our second question. So let's go down and break this down. I'm going to make some screenshots and we're going to work this out by hand. Now we have 2 totally separate questions here. The first question was, how many total items did the store have before the sale? Now, the way I'm reading this could be wrong. The way I'm reading this, they're not asking how many tennis plus soccer items did they had, because that's not total items. To me, total items represents all 100%. And the way I would do that, I think the easiest way would be to take and set up an equivalent ratio for my tennis items. My tennis, 20%, so I have 20 over 100, was equal to 75 items. Now, that's a little bit challenging, isn't it? Because there's no perfect number I can multiply 20 by to get to 75, and we're going to go ahead and put a T here for tennis. So is the equivalent ratio going to be the best option for this one? Maybe not, because we'd have to do some dividing and then multiplying. Even if I was to do some simplifying, it would be a little more challenging, but I bet I could make it work that way. So let's take and divide the zeros off here. They're gone. And then 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 10 5 times. Now, can I multiply 1 by something to get to 75? Of course I can. So 1 times what number is equal to 75? That's going to be 75. And if I do it on the top, I have to do it on the bottom. So 5 times 75, well 5 times 70 is 350, 5 times 5 is 25, so that's going to give me 375 for my total items. Now I'm going to pause that recording. I just want to check that, make sure it's right, that that's the total they wanted. So I plugged the 375 in right, and that is exactly what they were looking for. Now they want to know how much will we make if we sell all items with everything going for $10.99 a piece. So for that one, we're going to have to do some good old-fashioned multiplication. I'm going to take and get myself a little bit of workspace here. I got $10.99 times 375 items. I'm going to multiply that out. And I saved you the pain of watching me do that math, but if I did it right, then we should have $4,121.25. Let's check and see if I did it right. $4,121.25. Check our answer. Woohoo! We got it right. With that, the lesson is finished. Make sure you are giving me good quality supporting work, just like I have given you good quality supporting work to justify your answers. You have to give it all to me. No shortcuts, guys. Good luck on your homework.